To Gauteng, where Rand Water has warned that supply will be disrupted to communities relying on the Hursthill reservoir due to what is described as a system crash. Areas affected include Greymont, Northcliffe, Auckland Park, Melville, Parkview, Greenside and surrounding areas. Stationary and mobile tankers will be provided to residents until the issue is addressed. Meanwhile, the Water Department will hold an emergency meeting tomorrow to address Gauteng's water supply problems. Now, residents have again been urged to use water sparingly. Well, for more on the story, let's take you to the DA spokesperson for water, Basson. Leon, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. So when we look at the situation, it is incredibly devastating for residents and not encouraging to seeing what experts are saying, which is that they've been long warning about problems when it comes to the water infrastructure in this country, and that's part of what is leading us here.
You're 100% correct, and good evening to your listeners. Yes, South Africa has got a backlog on infrastructure maintenance and upgrade of our maintenance all over the country. And it is estimated that it would cost us in the next 10 years more than 900 billion rand to update and to make sure that our infrastructure don't collapse. What happens in Rand Water is there's some mystery in this, the issue in Rand Water, whereby they are cutting 30% of their water because they say that they use more than 400 million cubic meters of water per annum, more than they should use. But the department has not stopped them to use more water, and we know that it is in a very warm area in the country at the moment, and rain will still come. Our dams are full. More than 90% of the Vaal system has got water, and it does not make sense cutting now to the municipalities 30%. What is also alarming is the fact that I think there is a communication problem between Rand Water and the municipalities that they supply. We understand that they are pumping 4,900 megaliters or 4,900 million liters of water per day into the system, comparing with 4,300 they have been doing as an average. And therefore they are pumping more water, but reducing that at this stage is not right. And as you have mentioned, the minister indicated that he will have a meeting tomorrow with Rand Water and the municipalities as far as Northwest and the Free State that also receives water from Rand Water.
Leon, when one hears about a system crash, there are multiple reasons that could contribute to a system crash, and very much sounds like an emergency. The idea and the concept of water shedding, however, means that our water problems are much bigger and probably will stay with us for longer than we anticipate right now.
You're 100% correct. The fact is that the upgrade of our systems has not been done by municipalities over the country. And maybe Rand Water is not the culprit in this instance, but we see that there's more or less 37 to 40% water losses. Now, if you use the 4,700 or 4,900 megaliters of water that's been pumped into the system that supplies municipalities with water, and you've got this high water loss, you sit with a situation that you are losing more than 1,000 megaliters of water. And that is the upgrade of the system that needs to be dealt with, not upgrading the plant to get more water, because if you put more water from a plant into the system, you will also lose 40% of that water. So it is a total collapse from the side of municipalities in the country, and especially in Rand Water. Situation is that the municipalities need to look at their infrastructure and upgrade their infrastructure to residents so that we could get a lower water loss. If we know that in Cape Town the water loss varies between 13 and 17%, and in Gauteng, according to Rand Water, it's nearly 40%.
Leon, it shouldn't surprise us that at the heart of this failure, we're seeing the failure of maintenance stemming from municipalities being brought to the fore. Because here's what happens. We talk almost every day about the state of our municipalities, the mismanagement of monies, and now we're just living with the consequences of what that state of affairs is.
Well, that's 100% correct. It's not you. Gauteng has been warned now for 5-6 years now that we're going to get to a point where when it's going to get hot or when the water levels are low, that the system could crash. And the system will crash if maintenance is not being done to the system and upgrade of the system. So it's very important that the minister should take action now and not just talk about the problems that we have in the country with water, but take away the water licenses of those municipalities that cannot supply our residents with water, hand those over to competent water boards that could supply that water. It's not, the problem we have is not just in Rand Water. You can go all over the country. If you look at Mangaung, the problem they've got with water supply in their areas in Northwest, and even in the Eastern Cape, it is unfortunate that, there's too much talk about dealing with this issue and there's little being done by government to support municipalities to get out of this crisis. Because the bigger problem is with water sharing is not like electricity. When it's off, you can, and it comes on, the lights are on. If you lose purification of water and you lose it for 4 hours, your system runs dry, and that could mean that it could take a few days to get that system back up to a state where they could supply water. The second problem that we have is where Rand Water now reduces water flow. That has a huge impact on the water, your piping system. Your piping system don't want to be charged with water and then you take away the water. Then you get much more pipe bursts. And for that reason, to reduce the water with 30%, that's not the answer. And I hope the minister would sort that out tomorrow so that we could supply the people in Gauteng with sufficient water.
Ultimately, Leon, with water, just as we have seen with electricity, the responsibility and the burden is now placed on consumers, because we, as consumers of these services, are now being told to reduce our water consumption, in the middle of what is increasing temperatures in as far as the heat is concerned. And Rand Water, of course, seeming completely unprepared for the fact that there would be an increase when it comes to water consumption.
Yes, I think they've read this thing wrong, and therefore it's important that the minister, who is eventually the custodian of water in this country, sort this out with Rand Water to make sure that in periods where we've got to use more water due to the heat, that they don't reduce in this time period. But I must also say that the Gauteng people, they use about 305 megaliters of water per day, comparing to 233 average in the country, and the world average is 173 liters of water per day. But the mere fact is, it will take us time to get people water-wise. It is a scarce commodity, and to build more plants is costly. We need to look at our water losses. I think there should be a method where government assists these municipalities to get their water losses down to as low as we've seen now in the Western Cape. That releases more water for consumption, and we must also realize that Gauteng, more people flock to Gauteng on a yearly basis, so the pressure on Gauteng will be even more in years to come, and government needs to put more money into water infrastructure in Gauteng to make sure that the 17 million people that they supply with water now, that could be in 2-3 years' time nearly 20 million, that their infrastructure will be of such nature that it could deliver that service to the community in Gauteng.
The Democratic Alliance's spokesperson for water, Basson, will leave it there for tonight.